Okay, it says we're live.
And now see how John and Clayton had to stream in that same button.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're all live.
Great,
Let me see
thank
if
you.
Bill wants me to.
Talk to you later.
Hey, Dennis,
All right, bye,
this is
good
gonna
luck.
be on Zoom.
Thank you. Yeah, we're on Zoom right now.
I could from home then.
Zoom or YouTube?
Sorry, YouTube.
YouTube,
You're right.
okay. I thought you said
Uh-oh.
Zoom, right?
I did.
Okay,
But that was wrong.
that's okay.
I'm saying in text to Bill, do you want me to call you for the technology meeting?
Here's some agendas. Okay, thanks for Bill. Mary's got one already, right?
I do.
Bill will probably sit right up there.
I think he put his stuff right there.
Oh, Bill is here?
Yes, he's
Oh.
looking for a cord for us.
Not Bon Tempe.
No,
wrong
Powers.
Bill.
Sorry,
Okay.
I mistook which Bill.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock, so I will call this meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mary, would you lead us tonight?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is our organizational meeting, so I will open the floor for nominations.
I was the last president. I don't know if someone else. Do you want to be president of this or
I
chair
have
of
a lot
this committee?
of travel, and I don't want to let anybody down. So, it's probably I'm gone 2 weeks a month on average.
I'll
But
take
if we're
it.
doing the other 2 weeks, it'll be okay.
I'll take it unless Bill wants it when he comes.
Well, we have to vote, so
Oh. All those in favor of Sean Kennedy, say aye.
Good experience.
okay, congratulations. It's your meeting.
All right, so let's keep on following the agenda. School safety technology update from Jeff Farnsworth. Is Jeff on the line?
I don't see anybody here. I wasn't told he was going to be calling in.
Okay. Why don't we'll skip over that, come back later. We'll talk general technology. Minnetonka Regional High School wireless access points and controllers. I guess we're not looking too good on those there. Are they the original to the building?
They are original. They're no longer under a support contract. So we have a backup plan, in case anything happens, but at some point, we definitely need to look at replacing.
We're not in imminent danger, but we need to upgrade this technology.
Well, we're in a position where if something happens and it fails, we don't have a way to have somebody fix it. Right, so.
I thought we had a whole backup system.
So I do have a backup controller.
Hang on, that's just Bill. Oh, he's pulling the parking right. He'll be in 3 minutes.
We have a backup controller, so I made that provision just in case, because the replacement plan is costly.
But that backup controller is as dated as our current
Yes.
controller.
Yes,
So
right.
it's basically the same model. I don't recall if we get it used but it's.
It was
an
a brand
aftermarket
new.
Okay, it is new.
Yeah, it was actually a slightly better version than what we have, but it's very similar, same age.
All right. Now, we have this on our plan, correct?
It's on our capital plan.
Now, is it for this year, next year? When
For
are we
this
getting
coming year.
For this coming year, okay. I think it just speaks for itself. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to get that upgraded. Any other schools and stuff like that, are they just as old as this system? Are they more updated stuff?
So in the hub and spoke environment, this controller here controls all the access points at the other
Right.
schools. So we can replace access points, at any given time if we
Right.
need to.
Yeah.
It's really the controller that
Right.
does the brains of
That's the
everything.
big piece, yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of our access points are older as well.
They are older,
And they're
for sure.
starting, they're gonna start to fail more frequently.
All of our access points are Wi-Fi 5. Yeah. So Wi-Fi 6 is, you know, as you're aware, is
Yeah.
prevalent now, so.
Okay. Now, camera system upgrades. If we can jump right to that.
Sure, we recently upgraded Wilbraham Middle School. We outfitted those with a Vigilon
Mhm.
cameras and a new server, NVR system. Haven't heard any complaints. So far so good. The cameras here are aged with the building, so if we're looking at doing something, this is going to be a large project in this building.
Would it be dangerous at all for me to ask how many cameras we have in this building, or is that number? you shouldn't talk
Probably close to 120, I think.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, number's fine, we don't wanna talk about specific
Right.
locations as much as possible, but.
Now with 120, given I win the lottery tomorrow, and I come to you and I say all the cameras, how many that you want, you know, what are we looking at for this building? How many do you want?
Well, I mean, that depends. If we're just replacing what we have, it would probably be close to that number. I mean, I think it all depends on how you approach the project.
Right.
The outdoor cameras obviously are a little bit different than the inside cameras.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I never know what the traffic's like coming from.
Did you want to
West
chair this meeting? Did you want to be the chair?
Coast. Okay.
Okay, we just voted me in, so, because I wasn't sure if you wanted, so we can just vote you in if you want.
Trying to vacate?
I will vacate as chair, and we'll have new nominations. I nominate Bill Bontempi.
Second.
There you go, all those in favor? Aye. Bill?
All right.
There you go. All right, there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Organization, there we go, awesome.
So we're through.
So we're at
All right.
5B right now, we're talking about the camera
So we
system?
skipped 4 for the.
Yeah,
And
did
we
we,
did skip 4.
did we hear from Jeff Farnsworth? 'Cause
I
I know-
haven't heard it. Let me just text him. This is a good part.
Sure.
If I can speak to the camera system.
Yep.
So we've talked about this a little bit. I mean, one of the realities is, you know, if we're upgrading all the cameras, right? So now we're getting much higher resolution cameras, a lot more throughput, a lot more storage,
Right.
right? So we're gonna have to think about our storage capacity. We also need to have, you know, some conversations about retention policy and things like that in and around that.
What about cloud storage? Rather than having storage on site, have it uploaded immediately to the cloud?
That's a possibility for sure. It's just, when we're talking about bandwidth,
Yeah.
you know, sending all of
Bandwidth
that
and
footage
cost.
over
Yeah.
our internet pipe is gonna chew up bandwidth.
We have 120 cameras, 120 instances of effectively streaming video going across to a cloud storage. Fair bit of throughput. Cloud storage isn't free either, right?
No.
So I
Right.
mean, you know, and I think it's also, I think our camera footage is something that I'd be concerned about maybe throwing out to the cloud, you know.
Some of these cloud services are very
Yeah.
secure, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
fine.
mean,
That means we just need the
Right.
hardware here, and you have to have redundancies and such. Go ahead.
I just say, if you were gonna upload it to the cloud, you could do it off hours, you know. and it's-
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Right, we
let's
could
do
back
it.
up to the cloud. So like a backup to the cloud might make sense. I've done cloud backups.
And the other thing is, one of the reasons we, like things in clouds is because if anything ever happened to the building,
Fair enough.
other copies of it.
Now, how many different camera systems do we have in the district?
Now, 3 different platforms.
3 different
So, the high school has a Vicon system,
Mm-hmm.
the Vigilon system at the middle school,
Yeah.
and the other schools use Watchdog or, what is it, Watchdog.
So a Vigilon, say it again, a Vigilon?
A Vigilon.
A Vigilon, is that the one that you want to have here as well?
I
And get it down
believe
to
that
one
was the
system?
recommendation from the police, that they wanted us.
Oh,
to move
okay,
that.
great. So that'll integrate with them? Is that what they use as well, or?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's brilliant, that's a no-brainer right there.
And of those 3 platforms, I mean, we have 7 separate systems that aren't interconnected. So even though, I mean, you know, you can use, I think we have a couple that are on the Watchdog platform, and the 2 that are, I think at least 2 that are on the Watchdog platform, you can view, but there's no sort of interoperability, you know, like, there's no ability to look at them globally, right? Which is where we'd like to get someday. But that's, you know, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars per school in most cases. Depending on what we're doing and how we're doing it.
How easy is it for the teachers or the administration to access the visual on?
So I have not seen the training and what they showed them. That was all done over at the building, I believe, with John and the assistant principals. I'd have to get his feedback.
Okay. But you haven't heard anything?
I haven't heard complaints, so
Okay.
that's a better
Right.
thing.
So, I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, so, I guess we should probably have some type of cohesive plan. We have 3 different camera systems, 7 different platforms.
3 platforms.
3
7
platforms.
3 platforms, 7 systems. It sounds like a government operation. Is there, so what's our, do we have even come up with a strategy? Because I mean, the cameras, to me, in terms of technology, cameras are probably one of the more vital pieces of information, one of the more vital pieces of equipment that we have in our district, because it gives us the ability to survey what has happened, but more importantly is it would give you the ability to provide intel should there ever be a situation that arises.
Just one quick one.
Yeah.
Is the camera system in our capital planning?
A full system replacement isn't. This year we had camera updates, about $75,000 in just updates to cameras. There are enough issues with sort of individual cameras, broken cameras, things like that, that the priority right now was to just get some cameras replaced, and down the road we would do the whole system. You know, when we're thinking about the needs, wireless access points and things like that, and the total, you know, capital that we're pushing out to the towns, it was sort of, let's put a bit of a Band-Aid on it. You know, I think big picture, we've talked a lot about phone systems and camera systems. It would be great to have a hub and spoke model where this building is the hub, the other buildings are the spokes, and we have visibility on all those cameras from here, as well as the potential for the police station, right? So if something's going on, our office can serve as a communications hub, a visibility hub if there's emergencies. The police, you know, the argument is we don't go rushing to the building, right? Because, you know, the police and fire need us out of the way more. My office, this office, should be devoted to communications, keeping up with things, and part of that is having access to camera systems in an emergency at some point, as an ideal.
So you talk about phone systems, are you talking about like a phone system, camera system, like all of that is integrated on the same platform, or you're talking just
separate phones, separate,
All right,
yeah.
okay.
But we, similar to the camera system dilemma that Bill just shared, we have 7 schools with 7 different phone systems. And
Yes.
we're working on a couple schools, I think this next summer, we're gonna try to bring a couple schools onto the MRHS phone system.
Yep.
Right, so.
Yeah, you've been doing a good job with that phone system of each year adding on a different piece and stuff, so that's great.
Our initial test was at TWB, and that's sort of a test of, you know, feasibility. That's working well.
Yep. Now,
Start small, and now we're gonna look to go out from there.
all right,
Good.
so I guess the question that I would ask would be, you know, have we prepared a wish list? So, like, let's say all of a sudden Sean hits the Mega Millions, right?
Yep.
And now the school has, you know, $450 million to spend on technology. So we put together a wish list of what do we think an optimum system would look like, and how much would that be in terms of cameras? Because you're talking about adding, like you said, a ton of bandwidth, which means you're talking about adding a ton of storage space, et cetera.
Right.
But our technology needs are not going away.
Yep.
And so the question is if we're spending $75,000 this year for, you know, kind of
Band-Aids.
fixes,
Yep.
but we know that in 2 years or in 3 years, those cameras are gonna be obsolete anyways, and we have to look at, you know, is there a smarter use for our money? Are we, at this point, are we at the point where we should really think about buying a new car as opposed to putting money into repairing the old one?
So the question that's been floating in my mind, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I say that, you know, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I have set up, you know, nowadays with technology changing so much, you know, the olden days, you have like for security for homes, and they charge you $1 gazillion, they come in, they put all the window things on, and they don't want you to know about all the new inexpensive stuff that you can do yourself. Now, I probably have a couple of dozen cameras myself in all around my 2 houses and all around where I can control them, spin them around. And when I buy them on Amazon Black Friday days, you know, they're under, sometimes they're $39 for a little one. The ones that I can move around are like $79, and they're pretty high resolution. I can zoom in and do everything with those. So I'm just not saying that these cameras, these are new technology, like this year's technology, not last year's technology. Whereas a lot of these companies are selling stuff that's not exactly, you know, they just charge a lot for them because it's commercial. And I wouldn't want to do something that's just like for a home. I'm just doing 2 homes. I got them all over the place. I got them in closets. I got water detectors, motion detectors, sound detectors, you know, all that stuff that all go together. So just curious, like how much a camera are we talking about over there? You can buy little things that are all controllable for, I think, a lot less quality or whatever.
So both these last conversations have me wondering, I know we haven't made a final determination on what to do with the consultant for the technology part of our capital planning, but maybe we could ask, if we do have someone do that, look into our camera systems as part of that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as a basically state-of-the-art upgrade to bring us to where we should be if we were doing it now with current technology instead of trying to, you know, patchwork back what was state-of-the-art 12 years ago.
But also,
what would it cost?
that can be future-proof, you know? Something that it's not like a light system that you can't turn off. It's like we can add cameras, we can add new technologies to it and stuff, moving on, and they have that.
One of these things, these little Nest cameras do now, they can actually look at people's faces and say, okay, only tell me if somebody that's not recognized walks in the door. Automatic, it can tell people, it can tell like it's a dog and say, don't alert me when my dog does something. So there's all kinds of stuff now, and it's all just built in for like under $100.
Hike has the same thing. But to Sean's point, like if we're gonna, you know, if we're gonna do like some big tech upgrade, like again, it really needs to be something that, you know, that looks to the future, not just to the next 2 or 3 years, but the next 7 to 10.
And if we're doing the same system that the police are doing, or that they want us to do, that's a good harbinger there of,
Right.
of
The
future.
the other thing that I would ask Aaron is, so there's gotta be grant money out there for all this stuff.
We can look.
So I
I mean,
mean,
we-
that's
we-
like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't dodge them.
no,
We're
no.
trying to
there's gotta be
find
grant
them.
money for all that.
yeah.
Cause I know that there's always grant money being set aside for public safety. I know, one of the conversations
Was
I
the
had with
cops?
Jeff.
It was the cops, right? The cops grant?
No, it was, there
So
was.
we had a cops grant for 75,000, but that wouldn't cover cameras. We asked, we've done some, the cameras at the middle school, we did, that was the SVPP grant, and we did about $75,000 worth of cameras at the middle school.
Okay.
But it's, you know, again, those are, most of the grants we've seen are piecemeal. It's not gonna do a multi-million-dollar.
Is
sort
that
of
what we're
tear
talking
out.
about? Let's say let's talk about the high school right now, right? The 140 cameras plus the infrastructure, are we talking $1 million? Are we talking, what are we talking?
Yeah, we'd have to quote it out or get, you know.
Do we have any WAG estimates?
Yeah, I mean, just,
Wild ass guesses here?
I mean, we can talk to the guys who did the middle school and ask if they can get, you know, get us like what, you know. if we're
What did the
doing-
middle school cost with how many cameras?
Well, that was not a full like tear out and rebuild, but it was $75,000 for upgrade. So we upgraded, we
Upgrade.
added a couple cameras, we upgraded a few cameras. So it wasn't replacing all of the cameras, it was just adding a few cameras and
So
upgrading
my
the
guess
server.
my guess is that if you're looking at a full upgrade at this school, but the question is, you know, are any of the cameras that you have serviceable going forward, for the, you know, for any type of upgrade?
Yeah.
Is it something where you can introduce, you know, the platform that you want, you can still use those cameras, and as they go out, you can replace them?
So
That's the
somehow the town of Wilbraham commissioned a quote for a full tear out and redo Wilbraham Middle School, and I wanna say that was somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000 plus.
What's the cost per camera? Is there a cost per camera?
No, I didn't, I don't know, I can try to find it, I think I was
So
sent
most of
it at some point.
your cameras aren't hardwired though, are they? Are your-
Mine? They're just through, they connect to the Wi-Fi points.
Yeah. So
There are a
that's-
lot of cheap options, I'm not sure that we can utilize those here. You know, it's just because this is, you know, public safety issue, this is.
Well, I would say that you would want, you
Are
definitely wanna
they any
have,
better though?
you better wanna have a wired system. I would definitely say for
You mean for the
reliability
signal, or
purposes.
for the,
Yeah, not wireless
Power?
cameras.
So God forbid, let's say you have a bunch of wireless cameras, right? And all of a sudden, as part of an assault on the school, one of the things that you have somebody that has intel, and all of a sudden they hit, you know, some WAPs in the building. And now you've lost half of your cameras because you don't have access to the wireless access points that are in the hallways or in the.
you also have wires that can be cut down. Again, I don't know, I'm not the expert, I haven't
I don't know
tested
what the
them.
requirements are, quite honestly. I've never had anyone quote me wireless cameras for a school building. That's all I know. I don't know beyond that, but I mean, we can ask the question.
Okay.
I got all kinds of animals in the yard that it finds, you know, out there.
So,
Pretty accurate, I can zoom right in.
so
Yeah.
if I can just kind of toggle for a minute, it's gonna seem like completely crazy, but it's actually not. So if you go back to 4, I wish that Jeff was here. I haven't heard back from him yet.
He had a previous
No, I
meeting.
didn't know.
Oh, Dave says he has a meeting right now.
As soon as I receive, oh wait, I replied as soon as I received that, I did reply that I have another meeting already, oh, okay, all right. So we'll have to include him again. So I want to just give you guys just a brief overview, and then I'm gonna let Jeff do the formal presentation. Because we're talking about cameras, school safety, having, you know, having visibility within the schools. And what Jeff was talking to me about was actually, it's a very unique technology in terms of hardening entryways and hardening potential sources of entryway. So in this building, like as I look at this building, your main sources of potential entry are here, the entry by the cafeteria and the entry by the library. Most of these windows, I mean, I suppose you can shoot them out with a gun if you wanna come in.
Let's not give anyone ideas.
No, but, so the technology that Jeff had shared with me was basically a company that has come up with a pliable film. And the film can basically be placed onto existing glass, and it basically hardens it from gunfire.
Oh,
And they have a video that actually shows a guy shooting, I think it's a 5.56, so it's a, you know, regular, it's a good sized round. And shooting the glass, and then like hitting it with the butt of the rifle, trying to break it, and it is not breakable. And it's standard, I think it's like standard like 3/8 inch glass that they're using. And so I mean, the video shows it keep on hammering. So, you know, one of the things that we may want to look at in terms of, you know, like the number of cameras is if we can harden our soft points of entry, that would, you know, that may significantly reduce where our cameras need to be. So rather than having a bunch of cameras in the, in hallways and everywhere else, I mean, you may have just some wide angle cameras going down hallways in each direction just to give you feed. I'm not a security expert, I think you'd have to have somebody come in that would give you that, but if we can find ways to harden the entryways, then it would certainly mitigate the need for additional cameras, certainly, and would also give us you know, crucial seconds or minutes, so that at the time that an assault happens, you have enough time to alert the police, have them respond while you're having somebody either like continue to, you know, get frustrated by trying to break unbreakable glass, or they may just thwart the attack altogether.
Has any assault in a school ever been done through breaking glass windows and coming in yet?
Mhm.
What's that?
Yes, and there have been several that were done that way. So
In this school or in our
Not in
schools?
this school, he said in schools.
Yeah, school
Yeah,
shootings.
in schools, yes, so
Yeah.
So I think that is the technology I'd be interested in. In fact, I've been hearing about film for a while, so I'd be interested to know someone who actually knows something about it. But I
Yeah.
would say, I wouldn't say that that would necessarily reduce the need for cameras, because
Now,
we're not using cameras really to thwart attacks on schools on a daily basis. We're using it mainly to figure out issues that occur within the schools. And that's really what we use them for.
so more day-to-day surveillance.
Yes. It's mostly a kid is accused of something, and then we go to the tape to see, is it plausible, or does the tape exonerate them?
It's investigatory,
Yeah.
more than preventative.
So I was thinking more along the lines of, you know, cameras, like what access for law enforcement, et cetera. You know, it's just it's an interesting,
Yeah, we need a camera system here for surveillance and, you know, to exonerate our students when accused of something, right? Or to have evidence of something that was done nefariously. But letting the police have access to it is that next level. Like if they can access it, it's that next level of when something even worse happens, we have to, you know, an assault on the school or something like that, and they can go and they can get, you know, they can see
any
the
one of
data.
any one of our school buildings, I mean, it is that main entryway where, you know, I look at like, I look at Stony Hill, right? I mean, Sewell Road, not so much. I mean, those doors in Sewell Road are pretty hardy. You know, so it's not like you're gonna shoot out a window, you know, you should have, you know, at least 30 seconds, be able to, you know, before somebody can actually gain access. I don't shoot out doors for a living, but you know, it's just, I think that as we go through this, looking at cameras, how we use them, because I certainly don't want to, you know, mitigate the value of them in terms of potential breach of our schools. We're making sure that what we have is functional and reliable. But the question is, you know, is every camera necessary, especially if you have multiple cameras covering the front entryway to a school? I mean, if you have one or two cameras covering the entryway, should that be sufficient? And there's a lot of stuff to think about with it, but I just wanted to throw it out there because I know that when Jeff mentioned it to me, it seemed like a very, very low cost solution, especially for, you know, for multiple buildings.
I want to say it was something that was considered, I feel like someone told me it was something that was considered before I arrived, and like a couple of years before I arrived, and for some reason it fell off. I don't know if it was cost or.
This is the first time, like, I don't know, I mean, maybe somebody mentioned it.
We've been
that I
talking
didn't hear
about cameras in this committee.
No, the film.
We've.
Oh, the film.
The film, yeah,
yeah.
I didn't, this is the first time that I had heard of it. When he showed me the video, it was.
I wonder if somebody knew that was there, you get a bazooka or something, will go through it anyway.
And we've picked up materials, I'm pretty sure Dave Rogers has some materials from when we attended MHEC, so they have an expo with vendors. I'm pretty sure Dave picked up some stuff. I think 3M makes a film, there's a couple other companies that make those sorts of films in multiple grades. I know we looked at a couple different grades of films when we were at MHEC. I'd have to probably touch base with Dave and follow up on that, but we could look at that.
Right. So the other thing was the wireless access point. So when we started talking about that at the meeting last week, that kind of like, it kind of like set off a light bulb in my head, because I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Like, you know, because I know, like, I have 2 kids in this building, and I can tell you, like, they tell me the access in this building in certain points of the building stinks. And so, you know, we're talking about, you know, trying to shave things off of the capital budget to save money, but you You know, at what point are you just being, you know, foolishly thrifty, and trying to save a little bit of money here, but now I mean, it's technology that you need in order to run every piece of equipment that we have in this building for an educational purpose.
And we're running all of our education.
Every
now.
Chromebook
Yeah.
runs on a wireless access
That's
point.
one thing we should not skimp on. If we're gonna put money into Minichog, we're putting it into the wireless access points and the controllers. That's education, that's right there. Plus, like I said, if we decide to, do some cloud storage or something like that, we need that, right?
But that's where coming into, if you're looking at doing like a major upgrade, like we really should have some idea of like, how much is the whole nut? Like if you were gonna just do wireless access point, new apps, new controllers, new storage server, cameras, you know, whatever, and I don't even know, do the cameras, what's that? Phones, like, what are we looking at? Like, what are we looking at? And not just for this school, but district-wide, because we have needs in other buildings as well. And every one of those buildings, in my opinion, personally, every single building, you need a minimum set of cameras, and you should be able to gain access to those cameras at any time. And I think that if we, God forbid, if we ever had an active shooter situation at any one of our schools, and we were left for want because we did not have the intel that we could have had with camera systems, I just think that would be a tragedy.
That's the worst case scenario, but like you said, if a student was accused of something, you know, of smoking in the bathroom or something like that, you know, that's the everyday use that we need to have this for, to protect our students and for, either way, whether they're innocent or guilty, to protect the others. So it's a wide range that we're gonna be using the system for, but we need it as strong, like you said, in case of an active shooter or something like that in the district.
So how do we do that? So if we're gonna do, we talked about the consultant, so if we're going to hire a technology consultant and we are going to use the Minichog bucks to do it, you know, the money from the capital stabilization.
Anyway.
Well, so that would be beyond the scope of a capital needs assessment.
No, we can go back to the committee and ask them to see if while they're here, can we add this on?
Okay.
You know,
Because we've sent the building envelope and the physical plant needs has gone out, the request for quotes. And we're hopefully gonna have that back by the end of the month to get quotes on that. The intent was to send out tomorrow. We could do something as an addendum, but we've got 3 technology vendors that we're gonna send to, one of them being AOT and 2 others. So we have that prepared and we're gonna send that out, the specs,
by the way,
tomorrow.
are you pulling anything off of the ITT 40? Is that still a
For
contract?
the what?
The ITT 40 contract, state contract, is that still a contract?
I'm sure it's there, I don't know exactly which one that is.
It's
but
the
there's-
technology one?
Yeah,
That might be
there's about 8 technologies.
Yeah.
To circle back to where you were before that though, how about if this is a conversation that's likely to come up in the future,
Yeah.
why don't would it be this committee's desire to put it on the agenda for Thursday's meeting?
That would be great.
That would be great. Then instead of doing that and then amending it, we could just figure out what we want to do first?
Okay, I told them all they're getting it tomorrow, so I'll email them and tell them it's gonna take a little longer.
I was gonna say that I'm a little confused in terms of, what our general goal is. Are we talking about active shooters, people breaking in? Are we talking about kids, doing stuff in the school?
Yes.
And I'll tell you that it's like, what's our main focus of which one? Because my daughter's company, she works for Evolve. Evolve they now have the contract for a lot of the NFL stadiums. So what they're doing is use AI, walking through, it's not the metal detectors, but you walk through and you can walk through in bulk, like you don't have to take your hat off or anything. And they're selling a lot to schools. So I mean, if you wanted to keep metal out, I'm saying this is, I don't know if they have the need or not, that's what's going in, AI, so kids can still walk through the doors fast as they can walk without the device, like you're going through and lining up. And that's what's being sold, if that's what we're really worried about. Because I walk in here and nobody's checking me, and walk in at night and walk in whenever.
So I think, I
Good.
Who knows what we're trying to do?
I think the answer to your question, Rich, is all of the above. Like, I would say school technology / school safety. And, you know, just open up the, you know, just open up the bubble, see what's there, see why, like you're talking, what you're talking about is technology that I've, you know, sort of tangentially heard about. I don't know that much about it, and I don't even know the applicability within schools, and whether or not it's something that the cost would even make it possible.
Could I offer sort of an
Yeah.
alternative to doing an addendum? So the 3 vendors that we're gonna be sending to aren't necessarily experts in cameras, and so they're gonna tell you when you need to replace them, when the technology is gonna age out, things like that. But they're not going to probably be able to give us like, here's the end all. They're not gonna be at the forefront of, say, camera technology and what you wanna do. What if we went back to the company that did WMS and said, could you get us a ballpark, right, of what this, if we had our dream system, what would it look like, and could you give us a broad estimated cost?
Excellent.
To do this district-wide, we could give them number of cameras, you know, what we've got, and they could probably.
Because if they come back and they say it's $250,000 to do Minichog, that's a lot different than if they came back and said it's $1.5 million, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I think that would be a great first step to.
Well, and also having a company that specializes in this to understand, like, to look at where your camera locations are they optimal? Do you guys have like 2 cameras where you could conceivably just have 1, right? Or do you have like a, you know, if you have a stairwell camera mounted, you know, on the top, is it easier to mount a stairwell camera from the ceiling?
And that's getting into a whole separate ball of wax though, right? So, you know, we may need to pay someone to do a security consultation to do something like that. That might be.
Or are cameras fixed, or can they be rotated?
I'm trying to think of the scope of what.
But if the camera guy comes in, if that same company that did WMS, if you say, listen, you know, just take WMS, all right, and just play it as a clean slate. Like, pretend there is no security system, there's no cameras, you didn't do the work that you did, right? But if you were going to give us an optimal system in this building, in the high school, what would you?
With the bells and whistles, what are we looking, give us a range. And then we start from there.
Okay.
Right?
And then if they say, and they may end up saying, well, you know what, actually, you know, if you're looking for, you know, surveillance and security, especially if you're looking for security, you know, I would possibly recommend doing a school security, like you said, a school security consult, actually, you know, and have somebody come in who, you know, who actually.
Don't we have that now? We already have that. We have a consultant.
We do,
that
but
comes in.
they don't
the
do.
person is not an expert at cameras.
Right, not an expert in cameras, but expert in security, yeah.
Right.
So if we can get the camera expert and sit down with him, you know, it would have to be in closed session because of the.
Well, those could just talk. Well, they're not bound by executive sessions, so.
Right.
I'd like to know if you were like reviewing, does $1,000, what does a $1,000 camera do that a $59 camera, a new one, can't do? So is there really, except that you make a lot more money selling as a profit, the expensive one, there is no money in selling the cheap ones.
Right.
And so, yet are they really any difference in quality or what you're getting out of them?
Good question, really good question. All right, so I think we'll get Jeff, to get to one of these meetings so we can talk a little bit more about film.
Now, why don't you, I know Jeff because he's amazing and he's on all different committees and stuff, but did he actually have an update or he was just talking to us about security in general?
No, he was actually talking about the film, so that was what was, I kind of stole his thunder a little bit, but I didn't want you guys to sit here and think that I was doing, because you know his position, like he is.
Oh, yeah.
He works as like the head of like Department of Public Safety in the state of Massachusetts, so I mean, he's like, you know, he's like the guy.
And he's in town and he's awesome.
I mean, he's such a resource, so I mean, you know, when we start talking about school safety, you know, I think it's definitely a good idea to include him on all of those discussions, because if anybody's gonna know, if anybody is going to know about it, it's gonna be him. So I'll just, I'll keep an open invite for him to come in and talk to us about anything school safety related, especially technology, but, and that was why I considered it technology, I mean, it's film, So it's not,
That's all right.
you don't plug it in, but.
It's low tech.
It's
Yeah.
High-tech,
Is that-
low-tech, I mean, the technology that goes into that film is impressive.
yes,
It's
so, so the plan is we're gonna reach out to the guys that did the middle school,
I'll
ask
see if
them
I
to
can
give us,
figure that out.
give us a ballpark on the high school. If they come back and they say you should really have a security consultant to talk about camera placement, et cetera, then see if they have, like, some folks that they've worked with or recommend. And maybe if we can, do we know any schools that have recently, like, done a full upgrade of all their security stuff? And if so, could we reach out to them and ask, who do you use? I don't know, but I would say, like, we may wanna start with whoever built, who's the newest high school?
Yes, but let's not throw too much on his plate, let's just start with the Wilbraham Middle School. Let's get a ballpark, and then we can, if we decide to, which way we go, how it goes, then we can start calling other districts and stuff like that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome.
Fine. And then WAPs and controllers, that was the only other thing. So, we could just come to a resolution on that. So,
Did you say, how many APs do we have in the building?
About 120 in this building.
120? Okay. All right, so we got 120 access points in this building. And then 140 cameras. Okay. Awesome.
high-tech building. So in terms of the WAPs, because I know we've got like, the controllers, you said, I believe at the meeting, you have a controller that's working, you have a backup that you got on eBay. That,
Give or take.
give or take, we have no idea about the functional capability of that. But if that controller goes down, what happens?
So the backup controller was brand new out of the box.
Okay.
So that's the contingency plan.
Okay, and if that backup controller, if I'm not mistaken, that's like out of warranty,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's no
It's
upgrades
obsolete,
for that.
No service, no anything.
Okay, so that's why we
No
got it so
parts.
cheap.
Yeah.
So it would be a lifeboat at best.
Right.
So
Like you said, it is new out of the box,
so the
but it's
question is,
also old technology.
right, and so the question is, I know we've been replacing some of the wireless access points along the way. So I think the question would be to go through of the 120 WAPs that we have, how many of those fall under the category red, like they're gonna die in the next year? How many go under category yellow, which, they've got some life to them, and then which ones are category green, which, they've got at least 3 years of life in them. So, do we have any that do that?
They're all pretty much end of life, meaning no more support on them.
Okay,
I mean, they're running, and I don't think I've replaced one,
I don't think that,
It's similar to the controller, even if we
Yeah.
replaced it with an old, a unit that's as dated as the unit that came out.
cameras.
So the
most
new,
things-
we're not using the new generation of wireless access.
Bill, you know what it's like? It's like your glasses prescription from 10 years ago. You've been wearing the same glasses. You go to the optometrist, he gives you a new pair of glasses, and you're suddenly going, oh my gosh.
why didn't I do that, why didn't I do that 10 years ago?
Yeah, why didn't anyone tell me this? You know what I mean? It's like, you can see everything now. It's kind of like that right now. So right now, we are trudging along, we are using it for our schools, children are getting educated, but they are having issues, they have connectivity issues, and they are wasting a lot of time with troubleshooting. And then once we get a new system, it's going to be cooking with oil.
Bill,
Huh?
Is it not always?
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
be replacing about all the access.
Bill,
Yeah.
as a practical matter,
Give or
is
take
it
1,000
possible to have
Yeah.
a mixed system, or do you get to the point where once you start replacing access points, you kind of have to replace them all?
So the controller is the deciding factor, so the new controllers, some of the old access points won't work with the new controllers, so it's a chicken egg.
So if you were gonna
I think-
gonna do controllers and access points, like, let's say, right, we're taking them all out, I mean, all your wiring is done, so I mean, all you have to do is basically climb up on a ladder, just swap them out. I mean, I've put
Is
them
it
in.
Cat 5 that you have, or do you have Cat 6 or?
This has Cat 6A.
Okay, good.
So, I mean, have we like put together that number? All access points, new controllers,
Just for this building.
just for this building.
We did get quotes.
That's the number that's in our capital plan right now. It's
Okay.
somewhere in the 150 range, I wanna say, was it more or less? I can look
Wait,
and
one
find
fifty
out.
would replace the controller and the wireless access
Is that,
points?
I can't remember, I thought.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think it's
Yeah,
more than that,
apologies.
I don't remember
Okay.
something,
I will take a look.
one
I mean,
fifty
the
would be
cost
short
of
money.
good wireless access points has gone way, way, way down.
Yeah.
Per unit nowadays.
Yeah,
And that's
I'll take a
just-
look, I
Right.
may be thinking of something different.
Yeah, that would be a,
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
yeah, and again, when we look at each one of these bits of technology, but the deciding factor is going to be, where we fit in and, sort of the capital needs, assessment for all of the buildings in the district, and also, what the usefulness of that is. I mean, again, to me, it's absolutely ludicrous that we would sit here and be like trying to, we're playing Russian roulette. Because if the controller goes down, God forbid, the controller you got out of the box, brand new from eBay, but you have no idea how many times that controller was dropped, right? So, I mean, if that controller doesn't work, let's say,
It does work though, right?
I have it hooked up right now, so.
Yeah.
okay,
I can manage it.
if something fries on it, like
Yeah,
there's,
we're, same
there's,
scenario.
we are literally at a point where every single computer in this building does not work.
Right.
Instruction stops. That is
No probability though.
that's well,
It's not zero
Not
probability.
zero.
It would never be
it's two in
zero
it.
probability.
Rich, I will never be the one, that takes that gamble, never. Right? If I have something in my office that there's a 0.0001% chance it'll break, the law of averages and Murphy's Law says that it's gonna break at the most
Yeah.
crucial time.
And if you got two, it's 0.000 times 1 squared. Which is
Imagine that happening on the day that you're doing your MCAS testing.
Okay, there's no doubt. I mean, anything could happen. The internet could go down. I mean, everything could happen.
So, being able to mitigate the things that we can control, mitigate the damages for the things that we can control, I think it's absolutely our responsibility.
And then also too, we're talking, we all said this, that this upcoming budget season is going to be the most difficult, the most challenging, and I would say the next couple of years also look to be as challenging. So we really need to make sure that we have a solution that's gonna last us for a long time, that has some futurability built in, and let's just do it right.
And then, being able to look for, I'll talk to Jeff as well about public safety grants, and, cause that's a huge piece. I mean, trying to like scrounge money up from our taxpayers is one thing, but, shaving money off of grants that come through the federal government, even the state government, I mean, we should be literally trying to hammer those out every chance we get. All right. Anybody have anything else?
I do have some, back in my days of working with, I was designing bidirectional amplifiers and stuff, and I have a lot of splitters and such like that, which are fairly expensive, and that technology just doesn't change, it's a box, So I can bring some of those over to you, as well as, if that's interesting for you.
So what are the exactly?
So you put coax in, and then you can like split it out, whether it's 60/40 or something like that when you're doing a bidirectional amplifier. And also I have a couple of spools, I think it's like 500 or 1,000 feet of Cat 6A shielded.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
can get that to you too, all right.
Yeah, I'm not so sure we use the coaxial as,
The splitters, but if you ever, do you ever need it for a bidirectional amplifier, or I think we're all set in all the schools, right? Yeah,
Probably outside.
all right, so I'll just get the coax to you.
Cable would be great.
Huh?
Couple spools,
The Cat
shielded
6?
Cat 6.
Yeah,
That stuff's not cheap.
shielded, oh, it's such a pain, because it's got all that,
The foil.
yeah, foil, and that, like a glue or something that's inside it too. It's
Oh, is it exterior grade stuff, or is it?
Oh, I think they're all exterior, yeah, too. Interior, exterior. So,
Even better.
3 different colors, something like that. I'll get it to you.
Anything else? Rich? When do you want me to get?
In a month?
Month?
Sure.
Okay.
I know my trip's on when I'm gonna be gone, so.
Where are you going?
Next, I just got back from Thailand, which is, it's on cold,
Nice.
which you know, which is really great. We had 2 educational conferences, then a vacation.
So
The next trip is,
December 11th.
It's Monday.
Mhm.
What do I got? Quarterly staff meeting at the hospital. I can miss that. Why don't we do that?
What time?
5?
5.
Okay.
And then, oh wait. Oh no, never mind. Science operations week's the next week. Okay. Yeah, so December 11th.
Okay.
Cool.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a shout out to everybody here before we adjourn and for the public, because Dave is recording, just want to let you know that our 5th and 6th grade boys and our 7th and 8th grade boys both won their respective Super Bowls on Saturday.
Congratulations.
So the junior and the senior teams are Division I Super Bowl champions in Western Massachusetts.
And that bodes well for the future.
That does bode well for the future. I'll tell you what, the 7th and 8th grade team, I had both teams. I mean, we just had very, very, very skilled athletes, like good athletes, but honestly, just great kids. Like I look at the kids coming up through that program and it just makes me smile because they're athletic, they're competitive, but at the same time, they are compassionate, they are polite, and they take instruction very, very well.
And I can say that I know a lot of the coaches, and you get some really good coaches there too.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good crew. Really
Taking
are.
it very seriously, and you guys do a great job.
But you know what I will say, I throw a shout out to the parents because it's one thing to have your child play a sport, but it's another thing as a parent to basically give your child to a coach and to say this is the person that will be instructing you. And sometimes that instruction comes with some constructive criticism and it pushes kids to their limits. And I will say from a physical and intellectual perspective, we pushed our kids very, very hard. And I don't regret it for a second. And I will tell you that when we were playing that game against West Springfield on Saturday, and I was watching them out there, there was a part of me that was watching them and just going, I cannot believe that these are 5th and 6th graders. I mean, these kids, they look like a high school team. They function like a high school team, and they're not. They're 11 and 12, 10, 11, and 12. So, but yeah, I just want to make that shout out and just let everybody know. They'll make the announcements tomorrow for the middle school kids. But it was pretty exciting.
Nice.
Great.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Season well worth it. The juniors ended up 9-1. The seniors ended up 9-1. The juniors were 10-0. So we scored, I believe it was 307 points for the entire season, and we let up 6. And 6 was in the Super Bowl. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned at 2.
Now we have policy.
Some of those players.
Was that?
Now we have policy.
No, we have policy.
Yep.
I know Cheryl's coming for that.
It's so bad.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah,
Jeff wanted you to know that he replied.
he did. They didn't let me know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
I mean, I can just get them away